My name is Catherine Fry, and I'm the CEO and president of Mediafy Communications Group. And I'm here today hosting this podcast called Chat with Cats. And what we do during this podcast is we shine a light on local businesses. Today, I have the absolute pleasure of hosting the man that I call my work husband because we used to work together for many, many years. And he is now running a food co-op called Community Helps Itself. His name is Bates Reed, and he is here with me today. Hi, Bates.
Hey, Kat. It's good to be here with probably my favorite employer of the world. Thank you. Ex-employer or still friend or work husband or whatever it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I know that you have been working on some things that are tremendously important. And you are the founder of Community Helps Itself, which is a food co-op. Now, I know a lot of our listeners, they don't know what a food co-op is. They may have an idea, but they don't know. So I want to start out with, can you explain to us what a food co-op is?
Sure. I've been really, up until this point, when we've just started the legality work of becoming a co-op, rather than, we started out as a food ministry, but then it moved into a food collaborative, just naturally through it, because a collaborative is just you collaborating with different partners. And when we're talking about food, local clean food supply, as close and clean, as nutrient dense as we can find it, you need partners to do that, because obviously no person can grow all that stuff or produce all that stuff.
It's too much.
And how many grocery stores are there that supply all these places now? But anyway, the co-op is basically where we are now. We are in the process of bringing these collaborative partners into the organization to collaborate and then ultimately create a true co-op that can hopefully, when I'm gone, just be a legacy of natural clean foods to our community and grow and thrive. So basically what it means is if you make jellies or jams and you want to bring them in and we then help you sell those products, not only are we assisting you as a marketing segment for your business, because you need many marketing segments for anything you produce, because you got to get it out into people's hands or to the market. So what the co-op does, or the collaborative does, is then we then say, okay, we will give you our website presence, our social media presence. We'll even give you a page for the website to where you can go in and create your own products. So you don't have to come up with all that money that startups have to come up with typically to start a business.
That's fascinating. Okay. So
that's our version of a co-op. Now,
yes,
it costs me a lot of different things to a lot of people, but the objective is to create something that is that is owned by the collaborative.
Yes.
So that it can continue when the other people are no longer there. If I move to another country or heaven forbid something happens to me,
right?
It will eventually. It will eventually. Things change. Things always change.
Of course, yeah.
So we're trying to build that to make sure we take care of our community.
Okay. So what inspired you to start this co-op?
Again. Okay, so inspiration, that's a life journey. Inspiration to start the co-op was from my early years, right out of college, right in college, I started a community right in downtown Chattanooga that I never even knew I started. And it was basically, I was in college, had to find another place to live. I was living in a fraternity house at that time. Crazy. And I needed to move. So I moved to this little place. It had like 6 apartments, and then I gathered people together, and that became like a little community. She gave it to us for like $40 a month. That was a good deal.
Oh, wow.
Wouldn't that be nice to find again?
Yes. Oh, my goodness.
But yeah, communities. I was inspired by people working together, finding ways, and I was always driven. I've lived in many communities, as you know, Catherine.
Yes.
From Yalaha, Florida.
Intentional communities.
Intentional communities, yes. Things that we were intentioning to build a sustainable model so that people cooperate together, just like the word cooperative. They cooperate together in order to feed themselves. So I've worked in a lot of communities, the Ananda Marga Ashram.
And where is that one?
That's in Marshall, North Carolina.
Okay.
That was a spiritual community that I was involved with and an initiative.
And you were part of one in Florida, correct?
Yalaha, Florida. I started one in Florida called Diversity Sanford.
Okay.
That was probably my first big task that I was given. I call it by the universe, by that consciousness that comes into us and says, you need to go do that. And so
Yes.
you go do what you're told to do out of
Yes.
service, right?
Mhm.
So that was my first big one. I wrote a little book on it.
Oh.
It was called Diversity Sanford, and I purchased a property out there, and I was running for mayor of Sanford. This was like in the year 1998 or 99, something like that. And I had written this little book, and it talked about the vision of what this community would look like. And it was so funny. It scared the bejesus out of the city because they had the police come and find me and ask me, where was this place and who ran it and blah, blah, blah. But just the fear they had over allowing diversity into their community, because it had, it was a celery cropping city, and it was a good old boy network, and I came in talking about alternative, honoring our Black neighbors and friends.
Yes.
Instead of the slavery that came before it in those
Yes.
kind of areas and stuff. But, so that went over like a lead balloon. I lost dreadfully in the election.
Oh.
But you know what? It was the
was a
reason
learning
was right.
experience,
I was doing that for a reason. But that was trying to build a community that didn't work. And then Yalaha was amazing. We were building a city of light with that one.
Now that was also in
That was right after that. I moved to Yalaha, Florida, and I met my first guru, Dada Mananda. And basically at that point, I had kind of put away chasing money and said, okay, God, universe, if this doesn't serve you or me, take it from me.
Yes.
And I had several houses at that point, and I thought it'd all just be gone. But no, it was kind of gradual and peaceful, and things just kind of went away that didn't serve where I was headed next in my life, which was a more authentic, the journey I think we take to, if we want to, if we are aware enough to want to, that we take this conscious journey to change and become authentic from all the misperceptions that we were born into from our families, so not blaming anybody, but we have to get over that. Sometimes we do come out of our family trauma and we're blaming our mother and we're blaming our father
who we really are.
to discover who we are. But you have to do that. But at some point, you just got to forgive them because that's where they came from. That's what happened to them. And so you either keep that pattern or you break it. And so I think for a lot of us, as we move into conscious, it's about breaking those old traumatic things that happened in our life. I remember one time my mom got mad. She says, I never did that. But my mom, I was a little boy and I remember sitting in my grandmother's yard, and my mother comes out and she was all upset. She goes, I'm leaving. I thought she was leaving forever. I think that created trauma for me,
Sure it did.
people leaving in my life.
Right.
And I've had to, and I still don't know if I even understand all of that. But the objective, I think, in life is, and journeying on a spiritual journey and into these communities, is that we're really searching for that authentic purpose of who we are and why we're here. And mine has led to food and food security.
Now, define for our listeners what is clean food?
All right. And in the world we live in, it's an important question, because the words I like to use with Community Helps Itself in Chi Markets is nutrient dense, clean as we can find it.
But what does clean mean?
But clean means it hadn't been sprayed,
Okay.
or at least we hope it hasn't been sprayed. It doesn't have GMOs in it. It doesn't have, it's not grown in unhealthy soils. And it's what you want to put in your body that is clean enough to allow the body to heal itself through clean foods. If you're putting into your body things that have been sprayed or chemical or bioengineered, we don't know yet what that's all going to do to society, but we can look back 50, 60, 70 years and we can see how it has progressed and how the media told it was going to progress to, one day in having cancer at huge levels like we do now. I remember hearing when I was about 17, you and I talked about it, but I was about 17 years old and I heard this newscast and it said, well, right now, 20% of the population or whatever it was at the time has some kind of cancer, blah, blah, blah. And we're working on these methods to cure cancers and all that. Well, the pharmaceutical companies sure did that, because what they projected was that by the year 2020, that would be way over 50%, maybe even 80% cancer. And of course, the pharmaceutical companies were there to say, but we'll be there to save you with the drugs and, and heal you afterwards. But we never get healed from anything that these major corporations are putting into the food or antibiotics or any of that other kind of stuff. So we don't heal from that. What heals our body is good, clean water. You can look at Dr. Emoto's work with the water cells. You can project love, and this is wacky to some people, but it's proven. Science proved it. You can look at it. You can project love and that Reiki energy that people use sometimes to move loving, healing energy into others to heal and to move it around. You can put that over your food. When I pray, that's how I do it. I'm like, I want to heal this food so that I'm eating as much love, so I can change any kind of infrastructure within that chemical that may have been hurt by a chemical or something that I don't want to be eating. So it's clean as possible, so that when it enters my body can heal from not only the intention, but clean foods or foods that are reformatted to bring health to the body.
Okay. Now, are you selling foods that are certified organic, or do you simply know that they're organic because you've been out to the farms?
Yeah, that word certified organic, that would be great if we could supply enough food year round that was certified organic. Locally, I trust certified organic because it's a network of people that work together to assure that each of the farms do meet organic standards, that they're not spraying, that they're not doing things that aren't clean.
Fair enough.
That's the word clean.
Right.
But at the same time, if I see organic or even certified organic coming off of a shelf somewhere that's been shipped somewhere
else, you don't really know, do you?
You don't know. And I'm very hesitant to ever say, the package said it's organic, but I can't tell you. So what I do is, the way we promote local food is buy locally. You have a much better chance of getting a local, cleaner type food by buying from your local market. We, in the wintertime, Community Helps Itself buys from the Atlanta Farmers Market. That's the closest regional place where we can go and then pick through the foods and see what we want and get it as closely sourced as possible. So in the wintertime, that's what we do. And if we find organic things, we'll pick those up along the way, because people do want to hear it's organic. They do want to hear that, even though it may not be.
Yes.
Or really, truly organic. Has it been sprayed? People like you ask, is the strawberry been sprayed? Or, I think that's really people's, because we know most, it's the number one fruit that gets sprayed.
Yes.
Blueberries, follow it. A lot of those kind of things. So when you get an organic blueberry, we bought them today and they're certified organic.
So should people still wash them?
They should still wash them.
How should they wash them?
And a light vinegar water. Just wash off your vegetables and get anything that might be on there off. And then now, we're not talking about our local people. Now, as you get into spring and we start all of our local people, like down at Bethlehem Center, Damon, he's growing some beautiful organic foods. So, and lots of amazing farmers around here that grow a lot of food. That's where we go to get all of our foods. And then the more we get into spring and summer, it goes from just the leafy vegetables to, squash, zucchini, tomatoes. And then we're in full flourishment in June and July, and August, it starts to die down again. So interesting the way our psyche works with food, Yeah. So, but yeah, that's organic's a hard word.
It's a hard word.
But locally certified organic can be trusted, I believe, very fully. But organic nationally, I don't give it 2 cents really, other than I'd probably rather eat that than something I know that's been sprayed.
Okay. So
my personal humble opinion.
In your co-op, tell me, what are the various things that you offer, that you're selling?
All right. Well, basically, we built a website, communityhelpsitself.org, and we have a back end to that. And then we invite people like you if you made Cat's Jams.
Cat's Jams. That's a great idea. I like
Cat's
that.
Jams.
Cat's Jams.
But, if you made that, you'd come to us and you'd say, let's collaborate. Okay, what do you want to collaborate on? You tell me, or and you may say Catch Jams, or you may say, hey, I run a media company and I would like to help with some kind of back end of your business. we have a whole leadership team now giving that kind of volunteer stuff, and they're part of the collaborative. We do a food energy exchange program. So for 4 hours of your time, we'll give you a mini basket of food, which is worth the same amount of money. So while you're not getting paid, you're getting a resource that's really important to keeping you and your healthy family.
Yes.
That you can take home every week and give us share 4 hours. So that's part of being a cooperative, is you sharing your time. If you're going to say, hey, Bates, buy my jams for me, I'm going to ask you once a month to give us 4 hours just so you can come in and teach us how to sell your jams.
Now tell me
offer them to the community.
Some of the different things that you're selling. What are
we have body products now coming in, like tallow coming in out of Cleveland, and tallow is like the newest, latest rage for skincare. Because it's made out of 100% beef fat. We also offer the beef fat if you want to buy it and render your own or make things with beef fat. And then where does that come from? That comes from one of our collaborative partners that I'm currently buying cattle from. One of them up in Graysville called Ross. And so we grow our cattle there, then we have them processed, and we bring it straight to the freezer. And so we carry meats, we carry chicken, we carry pork, we carry a lot of Amish products because they've got it down. Yeah, they use some sugar, but it's not. I just forgot the word. It's not fake sugar, and it's done reasonably, and they've been doing it for a long time, and they're a healthy culture.
Now, are you offering clothing, or is that something that you're looking to offer?
That's something down the road. Right now, we are really focusing on the food so that our communities can have a source to go in various communities and then replicate and duplicate that. We just moved from Red Bank over to North Shore to St. Mark's Church. Down beside that is this great big gym with a great big kitchen and our store now, and we're doing events there to bring people into the community. And I love that partnership with the church, honestly, because a lot of churches have a lot of real estate they're not doing a thing with. And a lot of the church memberships, whether they be Baptist, Methodist, Pentecostal, whatever, they don't have the numbers they used to have. Some of them don't. And therefore, they're sitting on real estate. Well, if we are able to collaborate and cooperate like we're doing with St. Mark's, we can bring people there that might be interested in their church, or the church is just giving an opportunity for people to eat clean food, which is what a church ought to be doing anyway.
Absolutely.
It's
an integral part of their ministry.
It's a part of their ministry. So when we partnered with them on the pulpit ministry, and then we're a food ministry, it's a real natural match. So we will be replicating and duplicating this model. There's several in the pipeline, and we'll leave it there for now. But when we moved from Red Bank, it opened up a whole lot of opportunities for us. Stressful as anything I've ever done in my life. But yeah, that co-op is made of anybody who wants to make or bake or sell products. You come in, I show you what you need to do, what the label needs to look like that you can put on your stuff, whether it's bread or bread puddings or frozen items or vegetables or, whatever it is. I give you some guidance. You go home and you do that. You bring it back. You give us a price. We sell it at a price. And then hopefully there's enough there at the end of the day to pay all our bills. We're completely volunteer run, so we don't pay anybody. But there is ways to make sure that you are taken care of as a volunteer with us, because we feel like if there's an energy exchange there, you might stay a little longer because we love our volunteers. And when they leave, you're like, dang, but wish you the best, because volunteerism is, you need different experiences sometimes.
Of course. Okay, so I know that you've been involved in different intentional communities. And I know that when I look at Community Helps Itself, I can almost see into the future, and I can see that you have plans in the future to create another intentional community that is perhaps kind of an extension of Community Helps Itself. Can you tell me more about that, about your plans?
My plans. Here's how I look at it on the level of consciousness. You meditate so you can get clarity, so you can hear not yourself or the 5 other voices talking to you, but that voice of consciousness of God, of Jesus, of Buddha, of all of that comes together to lift humanity up, not pull it down, right? So as we're listening to that, as we get older and older, the idea is to hone in on that, because number one, it creates peace within you. And then when you commune silently with the thoughts, prayers, and dreams that you have, that's when those things manifest. But you've got to find a nice, quiet place to do that. Thus, my original teacher, my yogi, Dada Mananda, said, Bates, you must meditate in the morning. You must meditate in the evening, because you've got to clear that space. So during the day, you're in the highest space and you don't get attacked by lower frequency energies. Some people call them demons. Some people just call them bad thoughts that come in and say, oh, I'm less than, I can't make that sale today. I'm not good enough to do that. You're a worthless piece of whatever, So you meditate because you've got to find the peace. When you find the peace, then you can hear clearly as consciousness, God consciousness comes through and directs you where to do so. When you ask me, you say, what are your plans? They're not my plans. My plans are what's given to me by you.
Yes.
Or by others that are in consciousness.
Or by the universe.
Or by the universe. And it comes in very clearly. It's like a stream of information. And the more you meditate, the more you understand that stream of consciousness. And you are told what to do. And what you learn in this life and what you learn in spiritual teachings or consciousness or 5D reality, or as opposed to 3-dimensional reality where politics and all that stuff exists, what you learn is you learn how to listen. Alanya Van Sant. I don't know if have you heard of Alanya Van Sant? A great writer, great spiritual teacher. And I read one of her books many, many, many years ago. And she taught us how to start listening. And she goes, first thing you do is like you're sitting on the couch and you think, oh, I want to get something to eat. And you just automatically, you react and get up and go to the refrigerator, open the door, I'll take that, and you eat it, right? Okay, that's eaten.
Yeah.
One of the tools that she taught, and it was a great tool, it really taught me to stop first. She goes, oh, I'm hungry. And then you ask the question, well, should I go to the refrigerator and sit there, and should I go? Get an answer. If it says yes, get up, go to the refrigerator. Should I open the door? No, you're fooling yourself. Don't open the door. You don't need to eat it. You don't need to eat the junk in your refrigerator or whatever you're going to say. Or yeah, there could be something really healthy in there or something I want to eat. You open the door and you follow that process until you're either eating it or not eating it. It's the same thing with life. We are so programmed to automatically respond. All the technology, which that's stuff you do. I'm never degrading. I worked for you for a long time.
Yes.
But all that technology, all that information, all that stuff coming into us all the time has us so wired. There's no way we can hear what consciousness is trying to tell us in the middle of
We're hearing what Google is telling us.
We're hearing what Google's saying. AI is telling us, all this kind of stuff. So how do we do that? We must do the spiritual work, the conscious work to slow down enough to shut your mouth and listen. Shut off your brain and hear. Those who have eyes to hear, those that have, I always do that. Eyes to hear, ears to see. Yeah. It's like, but that's when you get ears to hear and eyes to see, because you're receiving information that's coming from a higher. Let's don't even use the word higher frequency. Let's use the word expanded frequency. Let's say 3D's right here, this little knot, and it's hard to get anything done.
Yes.
But you expand that energy out around it, and then that 5-dimensional frequency is about consciousness being able to enter through you, and you're receiving uplifting guidance from the universe, from the people you call into your life, like you and I, and other people that show up at Chi. They are not there because they want to be tangled up in the world's nightmare. They're there, and they're coming. And we just launched the Chi Life Internet Cafe, a long time dream. It finally launched yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Very quietly. But for me, it's a big deal because Chi Life to me is like the mothership.
Yes.
Chi, life. Chi means life. Chi is the energy.
It's the life force.
It's the life force of everything. It's the consciousness that runs through us. That's Chi.
Yeah.
And then Chi's also my dog. I was given that to name my dog. And my dog inspired me. The love of a dog, God spelled backwards, inspired me 13 years to take this next journey in my life. People might say that's crazy, but those people that have dogs and pets know it ain't crazy.
Oh, I know. You're not crazy. No,
it's not crazy.
Yes.
And they guide us if we allow it. They inspire us. They lift us up so we can hear.
They guide us, yes, as you said. Yes.
Better versions of ourselves coming through them.
Absolutely. Okay, so that takes me to the next question. Yeah. Where do you see community helps itself in 5 years?
Now you keep asking me that.
In 5 years.
All right. So what I have been given, and I'm just going to say it, in visions, my entire life, the visions, The visions typically are things that I receive when I'm meditating or in a higher state.
The universe is speaking to
The
you.
universe is speaking to me very clearly, and I'll see something.
Yes.
Eyes to see. I didn't really see it, but it was in my mind, and I got it.
Yes.
Or I might have actually seen it in a dream, or it's one of those
Yes.
dreams maybe that come that you're like, damn, that's so real.
Yeah.
It's sticking with me. I'm not getting rid of it. That's a vision, man.
Yeah.
That's a difference. That's a difference between just having some crazy dream and then consciously being awake and aware enough that when you receive things you can see and things you can hear, that you act on them. The things that I've seen, and I'll go ahead and go here with you on this spiritual warfare.
Yes.
There's a lot of times I'm guided now not to speak anymore about what I've seen or what I need to do. But we all know conscious communities are, and the food movement is just, it's becoming real because there's so much light being shed on the darkness of what they have done to our foods as corporations, as man, as control, as greed, as power, as all of those ugly, ugly things that run the grocery stores and the big box investors who reap those benefits. Maybe they're giving back in some way, but in that sense where they're feeding the people, they're killing the people.
Yes.
They're making them sick.
Yes.
So that's not what I'm about. In 5 years, I see multi-millions of dollars coming into the work we're doing, maybe billions, because that's what it's going to take to give people an opportunity to buy affordable house. Let's say, and I'm making this up, y'all, but it's something I was given, $69,000 for 3 acres of land, 2.5, 3 acres of land, and a tiny starting home. And then you've got all that land to do what you want. But in those communities, you share food. You might just share green beans. You might make jams. You might make breads. But then we begin to feed our communities and do exactly what our model has been trying to create. Not trying, we've done it now for a number of years. But create the space to where people are then in the new consciousness of what I believe is coming. You're either going toward technology, toward AI, and it's just a dark, dark hole, and the world is going there. So you're going to choose that, chase the money. You know it's secure. You'll not own anything. But you'll be happy, is what they say. Well, I don't know if I believe that, but on the other hand, are you going? What's the alternative to that? Is that community, or is that light for you or dark for you? I don't know. But what does it look like?
All right. Bates, thank you so much for joining me today.
I never answered your question.
That's okay. I am thrilled to have been able to shine a light on community helps itself today. And I am honored to have had my work husband, Bates Reed, here with me today. Bates, thank you. And I wish community helps itself all the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you.